All right, so move on to the next segment. Is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Isaac Pitbull Cruz an exciting rematch in the lightweight division? So, as good as the fight was the first time between Gervonta Davis and Isaac Pitbull Cruz, between the two respective fighters dating back to December 2021, where Gervonta Tank Davis pulled out a very close victory, a narrow victory, winning this fight by unanimous decision. But I do not see the point of these two fighters fighting again in the lightweight division right now. But and let's go date back to this fight in December 2021. It was originally supposed to be Gervonta Davis versus Rolly Romero in 2021 of December, but history has already showed that that fight took place months later in May of 2022. But it was actually supposed to take place the first time in December 2021. Rolly Romero was removed from the fight due to having sexual allegations behind him, had to take care of business outside of the ring. That led to Isaac Pitbull Cruz stepping in and fighting Gervonta Davis on a 12-day notice. He was already supposed to be on the undercard of that fight, but since he was a lightweight, they moved him up to fight Gervonta Davis on a 12-day notice. The fight was great, but I just don't see a point of having a rematch. And it was a close fight, but like I just said, Gervonta Davis won this fight by unanimous decision. It wasn't by a split decision. It wasn't by majority decision. Unanimous decision is one of the best ways you can win a boxing fight if you're not going to get the knockout victory. All three judges were on Gervonta Davis's side. So it was a physical battle. I am a fan of what I think that was one of the best fights that I got to watch in 2021 between two southpaw fighters, Gervonta Davis and Isaac Cruz. Styles makes fights, and that's why it was one of Gervonta Davis's biggest tests in his respective career up to date. Isaac Cruz made him very uncomfortable throughout the ring. He hit him with a lot of damaging shots, but as we saw, Gervonta Davis has a tough chin. He was able to outbox Isaac Cruz even with a broken hand in the later rounds. So he was basically outboxing him with one hand in the later rounds, as we saw Gervonta Davis win that fight. So I think that was actually more impressive that he was actually outboxing him with a broken hand. We actually got to see the toolbox come out of Gervonta Davis in that fight. He's more than just a knockout artist. He has the boxing IQ. He has the defensive. He has a defensive mindset. He has the footwork. He has the ability to beat you on the judges' scorecards, and we saw that December 2021. So, in my opinion, I just don't think that Pitbull Cruz has really done anything to deserve a rematch against Gervonta Davis just yet. We have to also keep in mind, since the Gervonta Davis fight, Isaac Cruz has only beaten a washed 40-year-old Gamboa. That is not even close in the Gamboa that we once saw Terrence Crawford fight back in the day when he fought Gervonta Davis a few years ago back in 2019. That's not the same Gamboa that I saw. It was a first-round knockout. That Gamboa is one of the gatekeepers right now in the lightweight division as we speak today. And picking up a win against Eduardo Ramirez, that's not anything to really brag about as well. And since that fight, there has been some fighters that's been trying to get their hands on Isaac Cruz outside of, not talking about Gervonta Davis, but a lightweight contender in Shakur Stevenson, who was very interested in fighting Pitbull Cruz in his first fight at 135. And Cruz turned it down. Then he also ducked a fight against Ryan Garcia. That fight was supposed to take place in July in 2022 last summer, but Pitbull Cruz and his team said it wasn't the right time to fight Ryan Garcia. So if you're turning down two big names where you can make two big paydays, separate paydays against Ryan Garcia, who's one of the big box office attractions in the sport, against Shakur Stevenson, who wasn't even in the lightweight division officially. He was set to have his debut against you, and you turn down two of them. That's a bad sign. And it looks like you're just greedy for a payday just to fight Gervonta Davis when you could have fought two contenders, beat one of them, and proven why you did deserve a rematch against Gervonta Davis. Beating a 40-year-old Wash Gamboa and Eduardo Ramirez is not good enough to me to earn you a fight. And the only reason why I do believe that Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis's team really does want this rematch for Gervonta Davis is because he's a knockout artist. He has one of the best knockout ratios in combat sports, in boxing, in UFC. And this was one of the only fights that Gervonta Davis, though this is the only fight in Gervonta Davis's career within 12 rounds that he did not get a victory via knockout. It's okay. You don't have to win all your fights by knockout. It was a decisive win in my eyes from a broken hand standpoint, and outboxing him with one hand, being effective, using everything in your arsenal instead of quitting. And the fight, quitting early in the fight, you went on the way, won that fight by unanimous decision, went on about it. And Gervonta Davis has fought better guys since then. He's fought Hector Luis Garcia, who I do believe is a overall better fighter than Pitbull Cruz. He's fought a Ryan Garcia, who I do believe is an overall better fighter than Pitbull Cruz. So to me, it's pointless for Gervonta Davis and his team to accept this rematch when there's better competition out there in the lightweight division. Gervonta Davis is one of the biggest, baddest guys in the sport of boxing. He needs to fight more better competition after this monumental win against Ryan Garcia. He needs to fight Devin the Dream Haney. He needs to fight Shakur Stevenson. He needs to fight Lomachenko or possibly a George Kambosos. These are the only names that I do think make sense for Gervonta Davis to fight next in the lightweight division. And doesn't really, and I understand that politics may get in the way of that. I understand there's two sides of the streets in the sport when you talk about promotions. There's Matchroom, there's PBC/Showtime, and there's ESPN Top Rank. So I understand the politics side of it. Bob Arum might not be willing to make a deal with Al Heyman and company, and we might not get a fight against Gervonta Davis versus Shakur Stevenson right now, or against Lomachenko, or against George Kambosos. But if politics are going to get in the way, the next fight for Gervonta Davis should be against someone like Frank Martin, who is a one heck of a fighter at the lightweight division. They both are on the same side of the street with PBC. That fight makes the most sense for Gervonta Davis if he can't get those following names that I just mentioned. Not a Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And Pitbull Cruz is not even a top 3 win on Gervonta Davis's resume. Gervonta Davis has way better this is what I say. His top 3 wins right now, as we speak, is Ryan Garcia, Hector Garcia, and Mario Barrios. To me, those are the best names that Gervonta Davis has beaten thus far. And actually, I take that back. Ryan Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, and Mario Barrios. I would say those are the 3 best names that Gervonta Davis has beaten in his respective career. So Pitbull Cruz is not in the top 3 conversation for his best wins yet. There's no point in the rematch. There's no point of going backwards for Gervonta Davis. You already beat this guy decisively. He's fighting bums to prove that he should fight you to get a rematch with you. I just don't see the point of it. I'm not really a fan of this rematch. Those are my thoughts of Gervonta Davis and Pitbull Cruz potentially fighting each other by the end of 2023 in a rematch.